Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel, Self-Publishing 101 with Lorenzo Monza. And I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you can be notified of all the new videos that are coming out. I also, if you can see this up here, I started a Facebook group page. As of today, I don't think I have any members, so I'm really looking for people to come on and we can start group discussions about self-publishing, about things that are changing, new information that's coming out daily, some of the different platforms like Publish, Drive, and Lulu, where you can load your books, and we'll go into the pros and cons of that. If you go into Facebook and type in the search box the symbol at LCPM1956, again, it's at LCPM1956. The page will open and then you can join and let's start like helping each other out. But today we're going to help each other out by talking about formatting. So I don't know how many of you, if formatting's very easy for you to do, or it's very difficult for you to do, or you hire out to have it formatted by somebody. So I've kind of like shied away from hiring anybody to do anything for me because I kind of am one of these guys, like if I was going to be a race cars, I'd want to be able to fix my car. I wouldn't want to take it to a mechanic and say, hey, can you, I want to do it myself. So I kind of look at my book as the same thing. I want to do everything. I want to write the story. I want to edit the story. I want to get the spell checking right. I want to re-edit my story. I want to shape things up, clean things up. And then I want to do the book cover myself and the description myself. And then I want to load my book on Amazon and sell it. And then learn, obviously we have to learn about marketing and ads and things like that, which is a whole nother thing. You can't just put your book on Amazon. Like let's say you hired a formatter and someone to edit your book for you and someone to make a book cover, a simple book cover for you. You're out $600, $700, $800, and then you put it on Amazon. You're like, oh my God, your book looks really good, but no one's buying it. And so it doesn't matter a lot if you're not established how good your book cover is. It's not going to necessarily always sell your book. So it's your genre that you're writing in. If you're like into, say, fantasy, which is kind of big right now, sci-fi, things like that, romance is big, cooking is big. You might have more people interested in your book, but again, you can spend all that money thinking, this thing's going to just like, it's a home run, slam dunk, and it may not make you any money. So there's a lot of marketing is like the stock market. If I gave you $1,000, you knew nothing about the stock market, and I said, invest this, and you looked up companies and said, well, let me put some here, some there. And I came back a year later and said, how much did we make? And you said, not really anything. We probably lost some money. If you knew how to invest that money, if you knew how to market your book, you would probably sell a lot more books and then start getting a following and then growing, and then you would have readers, that are looking for your product, which would be new books. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So you really... you have to write the book, you have to work at it, you have the blood, sweat, and tears of finding a good story and then selling it. And you just, you have to learn how to market. So, all right, enough of that. So let's go into the aspect of finding templates for formatting. So, every book is a certain size. When I write my books, I write at 8.5 by 11. I like a nice big fat page. And then I format it down to a 5.5 by 8.5. 6.5 or 6 by 9, forgive me. 6 by 9 is the standard book size in the US. I like the book a little bit smaller. It's not really noticeable, but it's just a hair smaller. So I like to be a rebel and go with the 5.5 by 8.5. So if you go on KDP and you go under where the help topics is, and this is a load like in the first page, you go down to prepare, publish, promote, and go click format your manuscript, and then pages will come up. This is a video that shows you kind of what formatting your template with your manuscript, but I'm going to kind of cut through a lot of the red tape here. I don't like blank templates because there's a glitch in the software on Word when you load it, and I don't think anybody's noticed it, but I have. And then templates with sample content, there's another glitch, but I learned how to fix that because we want to eventually number our pages, and with that glitch you can't. And then don't ask me why. I've asked a million people and nobody could figure out, or at least the people I asked didn't know the answer. So I just got lucky and figured it out. But let's go ahead and start this process. We're picking a 5.5 by 8.5. All the margins and everything are already set. The gutter's set. Everything's done for you. You just say okay, and then I use Microsoft Word 2010. And what it's showing now is a version of our book, and I'm just going to show you. We're going to go to page layout. We're going to go to margins. We're going to go to the very bottom of the margin page where it says custom margins, and we're going to click that, and we're going to look at our paper and our size of our paper, our manuscript, our page is 5.5 by 8.5. So that's where we want to be. So let's just close that for now. Now they give you, when they give you the content on the template, they're saying kind of like, well, if you don't know what you need to be putting in your pages of your book, you want your book title and author's name, you want your copyright information, maybe a dedication, contents, which are your chapters. I don't like to number my chapters. Obviously you have to number your chapter name, but I don't like to number the chapters because say I go in and I add something new chapter and it throws all my pages off, then all my chapter pages are off and I have to go in and clean that up and fix it. So I don't use the pages. And then it says, do you want acknowledgement? And then it starts your chapter right at, say, I think it's like 6 spaces from the top, and then they have like 2 spaces here. So they go through pretty much the whole book. And this would kind of be like if you wanted to use this, you'd have your book title and author name on your pages. I don't really want that. I don't like that on my book, so I'm not going to do that. So what I do is I go in and I just grab everything. So I'm copying everything, holding the left mouse button and just dragging down to the end of the page. This isn't a big document, so don't worry. Then I go in and I cut it, and now we end up on 1 page. Now the problem is the way to have this set is you can't move. You can move down, but it's locked in over down here, and it'll really throw you off. I don't know why they do that, so I'm going to show you how I fix it because I want my cursor to start at the top so I can manipulate chapters and so forth. So if you go back into Home, Insert, click Page Layout. See that? Go back to your margins, go down to the very bottom, hit custom margins. You can see now this is your margins that are preset for you, and your gutter, and then this is the size of your book. Now go into layout, and what I do is I just hit the header down to 0, and I hit the footer down to 0, and the vertical alignment down here I set to top. And when you do that, you're going to see your cursor move to the top of the page, and now you have free access to anywhere you want to place your cursor on each page. So there we go. So that's a glitch. And maybe because I'm not a format expert and I'm not getting, I'm not paying someone to format for me, this is something that everybody knows, but I don't. So this is what I like. I want to move this cursor wherever I want to move it. So what we're going to do now is another trick I learned is we're going to go into the original. I'm just going to clean this up for us. I'm going to go into the original document, which is my book, and we're just going to do 1 page at a time in the very beginning. So what I mean by doing 1 page is we're going to copy. We're going to go now to the formatted book and paste. Now it's forced another page up here, which is fine. And we're going to go now back to the original book, and we're going to do our copyright page. And we're going to copy, and you can use my copyright page, just change the name of the title and when it was published and things like that. But this basic information might work for you. So we want to go now, back into our copyright page on our new formatted book. And then as you see, it didn't force down here a third page. So you would generally, some people would hit enter, 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 and then it would pop into a brand new page. But the way I do it, and I'll show you real quickly, is why I do it. But first, let's go into insert, and then we're going to go down to the left and hit page break, and it forces a new page, and it brings you right to the top where you want to be. Then we're going to go back into our original book, and we're going to copy our table of contents. And we will jump into not having to do this for every page. So this is just the beginning process. Again, it didn't create a new page, so we're going to go into insert and just hit page break. And now we're going to go up to here and follow our table of contents. It's always going to be the old where you copied your stuff, your book, your information, your chapters, or whatever you're on. It's always going to be in blue, so you kind of know, are you in your new formatted, or are you in your original book? So we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste, and we have a third page here. So now we're going to go into the introduction of the book. Now you notice the introduction starts like 6 spaces down. So we're just going to copy the introduction. So we're doing multiple pages now. And we're going to go into the new document. We're going to space that 6. So 6. Okay, we want it right about there. And we're going to paste. And now our introduction started where it should. We've got our 2 spaces, and then we've got the introduction to the book. Now we're gonna, when the introduction ends, now we're gonna go into the first chapter of the book, but this is the back side right here of the page. So we wanna have a front page. So we're gonna go back up here, and we're gonna go to insert and hit page break. And now our book will start at the front of the page. And if you remember, we're like 6 spaces, like right there. So we're going to grab chapter 1. Now we're going to start doing chapters, no matter how many pages are in a chapter. If it's 10 pages or 2 pages, we're going to grab them all, copy them at one time, and then copy and paste. And this will set up exactly where we want it to. And let's just take a look now. Let's just go through the whole document. So we've got our first page, our copyright, our table of contents, our chapters, our introduction, and we've got the first chapter. So what I want you to do is, I want you to copy a chapter at a time and paste it, a chapter at a time and paste it, a chapter at a time and paste it till you're through with your whole book. Don't do the whole book and copy and paste, because Word gets kind of quirky, and it just kind of like doesn't like something, and then it screws your whole book up. So I've learned through headaches, if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's my way of doing it. And I'm going to show you the other thing I was talking about, why when you want to force a page break, is let's go back into page layout, or home, I'm sorry. Let's go into home. Where are we? Oh, it's okay. Now you see this symbol here? We're going to click it. I'm going to show you what it does. See, these are all the different spaces and lines and so forth of your document or your manuscript. And sometimes these little things get kind of quirky and they're not in place like they should be. Like they'll have sort of like period marks where they don't need them. And I found that when that happens and you are making a ebook, converting it down, those can wreak havoc. So you have to be real careful and try to get your book as clean as it can. Like here with those three, we'll just call them the dots. We want to clean that up. And it's, again, here it is. And what I found was when I had those and I didn't clean them up and I went to convert my ebook and I went to look at it, like what's it going to look like on a tablet or an iPhone, a big iPhone, a small iPhone, or whatever, Samsung, whatever you have, I noticed some paragraphs were spaced 2 or 3 spaces where they shouldn't be. Some of the margins kind of changed. And so I had to look at videos and I figured this out, and then I went and cleaned my book, and then when I went and reloaded it, it loaded perfectly. So ebooks are, go for your published paperback first book, do that, get it going on Amazon, get it for sale, then look at doing your ebook. Your ebook can follow, and then an audiobook can follow. And then so you've got your book selling, you're marketing, you're trying to figure out how to get your people to look at your book and buy your book, and it's on Amazon. It looks great, but now you can jump into the ebook. And if you're frustrated and there's some problems with ebook, you don't have to worry per se, because at least you have it going as a paperback, if that makes sense to you. And I think ebooks are going to become the conversion software that they have. They're going to really, I think they're going to make that a lot cooler and a lot easier in the near future. And I think it'll be real easy to convert a document, because this is a Word doc and we need to convert it. I believe it's called an EPUB. And when you do that, all sorts of little quirky things start to happen, and you just pull your hair out. So some people say they pay people to convert their book to an ebook, and then it's ready to go on Amazon. I was almost at that point, literally, like I was willing to do that, and then I figured out how to get my book to look the way it needed to, which is just like a paperback, and it doesn't always look that way. Okay, so now, so let's just go to let's get rid of that, because we don't want that to save it. Now it's cleaned up, but it's still there. You just, in the background, you don't see it. Now you want to save your new formatted 5.5 by 8.5 book. So you can put your title of your book. We're going to just kind of show you one of the mistakes where you see that it says info and it says this is a read-only document. You have to change that. And the only way, and it's pretty simple, and it took me forever to figure this out, and there were certain aspects that Word wouldn't allow me to do because this was a read-only document. And I didn't know anything about that until I finally stumbled on it. So you just go into Convert, click Convert, this box opens up, just put OK. It doesn't, you can read it or whatever, but just hit OK. And now your book is converted to where you can start doing like what you need to do to finish your book up. I'm going to show you one more quirk, and we're going to go to Insert, and here's the quirk I wanted to show you. So let's load up another template, the same template but a fresh one. You remember that? So let's just to make this as easy as we can, because I've watched too many videos where I'm like, well, he didn't or she didn't do that. What are they doing? Why? So we're just going to cut it, and we're going to pretend, let's just like do this the way the other one was. Let's go in, go to layout, and like I said, I made that 0, and I made that 0, and I made that top. And then I okayed it. Now, here's the problem. When you look at when you looked at saving it as a read-only document, if you were to save it that way, which you could, here's the problem that happens. So let's go back to Insert, and now let's move over here. You see where the symbol is in blue, and if you go over it with your cursor, it turns yellow. It's highlighted. but the equation is dead. It'll tell you what the equation is, which is mathematical equations, or build up your own equations using a library of math symbols. But it's dead, and I found out when it's dead, it doesn't allow you to number your pages. You have to activate that, and I couldn't figure out, man. I went on YouTube, and I was like, and everybody was like, missed what I was trying to figure out. I don't know why this glitch is in here, and I didn't know that it was like, how do you turn on the equation symbol in your in Word, because I didn't really know what was wrong. But I figured it out because I went and I looked at, you know, I A'd and B'd both documents, like and you can see it's off. And we went back, and I was like, well, I need to have it on. Why can't I get it on? But it's on my original document because I hadn't formatted it. So let's just close this so we don't get too confused. So the way to do it, if you're following me still, and I'm sorry, I'm a little, let's just pretend this had our book. We just copy and pasted and copy and pasted. So we're going to go like we want to save this, because we want to, after all that work, we want to save it. We're going to just put convert like I told you, and we're going to put OK. And then when we go into look at that symbol, it now is activated. So that's a big part of getting your book so that you can take it to the next step, which we'll do in another video, which would be numbering your pages. And you may want to number your page at the very beginning, or at the introduction, or wherever, or maybe at the chapter. That's chapter is page 1, but there's a way to do that, and I'm going to show you, and so you're able to do everything on your own. So with that said, we would go back in now, and we would just save as, and we would type in, you know, whatever, the little c, and I like to use the date that I made the changes on, which is today, and then I save it. So if I go back and I'm looking at different versions of the little c, I know the last edited version or saved version was today's date, and then anything I save in the future, I put that date, and then I go back and I know what's old and what's new. So that makes sense, that you can number it, whatever strategy you want to use. But with that said, we're just going to close, and we're going to go close this video down, and then talk to you tomorrow, hopefully, and do the number pages for you tomorrow. All right, so just watch this a couple times. It should make sense to you. Thank you. Formatting 101.